Got this sycamore to re-pollard, which hopefully, some of the root growth has got quite big, which will make it quite interesting to get it down, and it's more over the neighbours than around this side. This is the more complicated technical tree. I'm going to start with this one. I have to battle my way through a holly hedge to get up there, but that's just one of those things. See where we get.
The climb up inside of the hedge was painful, but as soon as I broke through the top, life became easier. My original plan to zipline required 2 people, so as I was on my own, I chose to drop onto the holly and tidy up later. A re-pollard is a way of maintaining a tree at a desirable size. The process involves removing all the epicomic regrowth from the knuckle and stripping the tree back to its main structure. The cuts are made just outside the branch collar to enable the tree to best heal the wound. The tree is then allowed to regrow for between 3 to 5 years, then the process is repeated. It's important to wait at least 3 years before re-pollarding.
One GoPro is lost in the hedge, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. The other one has been knocked by a branch and is upside down, so that's not really much. So far, the side that we're working on has got all the branches, and the neighbour's side has got nothing. So that's good, because I don't have a truck at the moment. I would have to literally drag them all the way around the road.
Only certain types of fast-growing trees are suitable. These include ash, sycamore, London plane, lime and poplar, as they can regenerate leaves fast enough to recover. It's important to know how different species respond to pruning and understand the situation and desired outcome before deciding on your approach. Thankfully, the GoPro turned up under the leaves.
The baby Echo is not running well at all, so that's got off to the repair shop. The chipper's booked for Friday to tidy up the mess I've been making, and I've got 2 ash trees to re-pollard. The yew still isn't finished, but I'm going to tackle the ash trees first, because the chipper on Friday will be in the drop zone where I'll be dropping the ash branches. I don't know how I'm going to tackle them on my own, because the back side of them is overhanging other trees and hedges, and I don't know how I'm going to get them down without rigging. But I'm going to have to think of something, and the saw that I prefer to be using for the more fiddly bits is out of action. These are trees I've climbed many times in the past. I actually taught myself to climb in these trees, so it's a little bit sad to be cutting them back so hard. The reason we're doing it is because of ash dieback, and they're showing signs of it at the tips, so we're pollarding them to take any long heavy branches off. It just makes them safer in the long run. Yes, but the plan for today is it's going to be carnage. Basically, I haven't got time, I haven't got a rigging system, so I'm just going to be dropping big bits, and hopefully they won't damage any of the surrounding trees. If they do hit, I'll just glance off. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty violent process. I've got two cameras running from 2 different angles. Neither of them are doing time-lapse today, so it will just be a montage of big bits of wood falling. This is not an easy tree to attempt on my own.
The day progressed slowly, and the ground became rapidly messier. Every refuel, rope tangle and saw jam had me coming down from the tree and having to climb back up again. I dropped 2 large branches directly on top of the yew below, as I had no way to crane or lower them into the open. My chainsaw bowl was not picking up oil and was sticking badly. Even after being scraped out, washed in petrol, scraped out again and the nose sprocket re-greased, it was still causing problems. The oiler on the saw was working fine. When cutting heavier wood, it's important that the saw be cutting well, especially in wood that's prone to splitting or barber's chair. If a saw jams partway through an important cut, it can lead to many dangerous situations. It's also important to double check your sink cut so that you can be sure it will work predictably. Secure position is also important when cutting. You don't want to be pushed off balance by the saw or in an awkward position making it difficult to aim or see where the piece will go. This section landed right where it was supposed to. By lunchtime, the lack of progress in the mess on the ground was getting worrying.
I've been up and down that tree like a yo-yo today, having to fix problems. I'd literally just cleaned it out. I'd made 2 big cuts with it, and it kept on bogging down.
The next day, saws kept going wrong, but I had help. My friend Christian, who's been cutting trees for over 10 years, brought his experience, knowledge and skills to the job, and it made a real difference. He also bought his 200. Unfortunately, the saw only proved kind of helpful, as it's badly in need of a service and doesn't give full revs. But it does like to stall. It was definitely feeling like none of our machines were on our side this week. A groundy and climber are always in communication. The drop zone must be kept clear, branches stacked ready for chipping, and logs cut to 3-foot lengths ready for processing and seasoning. Ropes must be kept tidy and unobstructed, and the rigging system must be operated. Vigilant attention and communication are essential for working safely, and it's also the groundman's responsibility to rescue and administer first aid should the climber get injured. The next day, the chipper we hired arrived. We had decided to leave the chip on site for use in the garden, as dragging the branches up the slope would be impractical, exhausting and time-consuming. The machine was bigger than I had expected when it arrived, but the tracks could slide in, making its footprint narrow enough to fit round the house and into the garden. Tracked vehicles always put a smile on my face, especially when going down steps, on and off trucks, and on uneven ground. It also made light work of the piles Christian had cut and stacked the previous day. I didn't have to drag anything far, as I could take the chipper right to where it was needed. It provided an excellent tool until the next day, where it broke down right under the tree. The final day I didn't film. I had help again, but I also had an urgent quote to look at and a very expensive machine stuck right in the drop zone. Lowering the last sections of the final tree would have to wait. Instead of working on the tree, we set up a pulley system and used the tree as a crane to lift the branches stubbornly entangled in the yew and lower them to the ground. We finished the tree later that afternoon, after the chipper was gone. Overall, I had hoped for help on 5 of the 6 days. I had help on 2 of the 6 days. I had expected my saws to hold up and not break down one after another, and I had not expected a hired chipper to break down in the drop zone. We didn't do badly considering. In summary, don't work on your own, it's very dangerous. And the problem with the bar gumming up was the biochain oil I was using. It was coagulating into lumps in the oil tank and blocking up the filter. Using old-fashioned mineral oil works much better. I'm pleased with how the ash and the sycamore turned out, but there's still a lot to do in the garden, and I'll set some time aside to continue in summer. Thanks for watching.